Dear viewers, what happens when the stage that was once meant for abhangs, for the poetry of saints, for the melody of devotion, suddenly becomes a platform for death threats? What happens when the Kirtankar, once the messenger of Sant Tukaram and Sant Dnyaneshwar, starts invoking Nathuram Godse instead? Let's not sugarcoat this. On August 17, 2025, in a small Maharashtra village called Ghurewadi near Sangamner, something snapped. A religious discourse, a kirtan, a sacred Warkari tradition turned into a political street fight, and in its aftermath, we heard words so dangerous, so poisonous that they have shaken Maharashtra's conscience. Kirtankar Sangram Bhandare warned, if telling Shivaji Maharaj's story is called politics, then Balasaheb Thorat, we will have to become Nathuram Godse. Stop for a second, think about this line. This wasn't a private WhatsApp forward, this wasn't a chai tapri debate. This was a public threat invoking the name of Mahatma Gandhi's assassin coming from a man who claims to represent the Warkari tradition. And here is the hook, the question that should haunt us all. Will Kirtankars, the custodians of devotion, now become custodians of hate? Will Kirtankars turn into Godse? Hello, I'm Tejas and you're watching Honest Take on Lokmat Times. Let's break down this full story, because to understand how a devotional platform turned into a political battlefield and how the name of Gandhi's assassin casually entered the stage of bhajans and abhangs, we need to walk through the controversy step by step. But before we do that, please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and press the bell icon to never miss an update. It began during the Akhand Harinam Saptaha, a continuous week of devotional chanting at Ghurewadi in Sangamner. On Saturday night, August 17, 2025, Kirtankar Sangram Bhandare was on stage. He is not just any Kirtankar. Bhandare is known for his openly pro-Hindutva stance, for aligning himself with the ruling Mahayuti alliance of BJP, Shiv Sena, NCP, Ajit Pawar. His reputation is that of a political saint, someone who mixes religion with current-day politics. Now, a kirtan is supposed to be about saints and spirituality. You narrate Sant Tukaram's abhangs, Sant Dnyaneshwar's ovis, you sing about equality, about bhakti. But Bhandare, he went off the script. He decided to bring in Aurangzeb, Afzal Khan, Shivaji Maharaj and today's Hindutva politics. And that's where the trouble began. Bhandare justified himself later by saying, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharajanni Afzal Fadla he सांगणे काही गैर नाही. Saying that Shivaji Maharaj defeated Afzal Khan is not wrong. Fair enough, you might say. That's history. But here is the catch. It wasn't just about narrating history. It was about packaging history as political commentary. Instead of interpreting the abhangs, instead of sticking to spiritual discourse, he began weaving in a narrative of Hindus versus Muslims, Aurangzeb versus Shivaji Maharaj, our history versus their conspiracy. That's when some people in the crowd, specifically supporters of Balasaheb Thorat, senior Congress leader and ex-minister, stood up and said, Abhangache nirupan kara Maharaj, interpret the abhangs Maharaj, don't do politics. Simple request, right? But that request was like throwing a spark into dry hay. One man, Nilesh Gaikwad, identified as Thorat's supporter, openly confronted Bhandare. Soon others joined in. Around 8 to 10 Thorat supporters got into a heated argument with the organizers. And then it reportedly turned ugly. There was allegedly pushing and shoving. Reports say Bhandare himself was manhandled. His vehicle was stoned and damaged. The kirtan had to be cut short. The man who had come to perform a religious discourse had to leave midway, escorted out under tension. Police complaints were filed, FIRs were registered against Thorat's supporters. The stage of devotion had officially turned into a crime scene. But the real explosion came after the event. The very next day, Sangram Bhandare recorded a video on his phone, a video that went viral. In it, he called Thorat's supporters madmen and directly attacked Thorat himself. And then came that line. If you call Shivaji Maharaj's slaying of Afzal Khan politics, then Balasaheb Thorat, we will have to become Nathuram Godse.
तर बाळासाहेब थोरात आम्हाला नथुरामजी गोडसे व्हावं लागला.
Hear it again, slowly. This wasn't metaphor. This wasn't poetry. This was a death threat. Plain and simple. Wrapped in the name of Godse, the man who shot Gandhi in cold blood. This was no longer about Aurangzeb versus Shivaji Maharaj. This was no longer about whether politics belongs in kirtans. This was about whether invoking Gandhi's assassin as inspiration is now considered acceptable discourse. Thorat could have exploded. Instead, he chose words that hit deeper. On August 20, 2025, he held a press conference. His line was powerful. मी महात्मा गांधी नाही, पण जर त्यांच्यासारखे बलिदान देण्याची वेळ आली तर लोकशाहीसाठी ते बलिदान देण्यात मला आनंदच आहे. I am not a Mahatma Gandhi, but if the time comes to make sacrifices like him, I will be happy to do so for democracy. Thorat also pointed out something crucial. The Warkari tradition has boundaries. It is not meant for political provocation. It is about Bandhu Bhav, brotherhood. He challenged Bhandare's defenders. Show me one video where he was attacked. If you bring me evidence, I will take action myself. In other words, Thorat didn't just defend himself. He defended the dignity of Warkari tradition. And then the floodgates opened. Congress leaders and the opposition came out swinging. Vijay Wadettiwar thundered, asking if police power even exists in Maharashtra anymore. Atul Londe went a step further, warning that the current atmosphere felt like days before Gandhi's assassination. Jayant Patil of NCP Sharad Pawar faction reminded everyone that the Warkari sect was built on welfare and harmony, not violence. On the other side, the Mahayuti doubled down. Shiv Sena MLA Amol Khatar, Thorat's local rival, openly backed Sangram Bhandare and even organized rallies for him. BJP leaders like Tushar Bhosle issued their own warning. If Kirtankars who spread Hindutva were attacked, there would be retaliation. What began as a devotional dispute had now turned into an all-out Congress versus Mahayuti battle, unfolding right in Sangamner's backyard. On August 21st, 2025, Sangamner saw something extraordinary. A massive Sadbhavna Shanti Morcha, a goodwill peace march, took place in support of Thorat. This wasn't just a Congress event, this was the town rising up to say, enough. Thorat himself walked, his nephew Satyajit Tambe walked, his family members walked, and so did women's groups, youth organizations, Warkari devotees, progressive groups, and common Sangamner residents. The march route from Yashodan office to Sangamner bus stand turned into a sea of people demanding one thing: action against Bhandare. Their demands were simple: file an FIR, protect Thorat, stop using devotion as a cover for division. It was peaceful, but it was powerful. Now here is where the story stinks. As of August 21st, 2025, despite everything, the threats, the viral video, the public outrage, no FIR has been registered against Sangram Bhandare. Why? That's the question Thorat himself asked. No action against Sangram Bhandare. Does this mean the government supports him? And the silence of the state speaks volumes. When ordinary citizens get booked for Facebook posts, how come a man who invokes Godse's name in a death threat walks free? This isn't just about one kirtan in one village. It's about the future of Maharashtra's spiritual tradition. The Warkari sect has always been about simplicity, humility, equality. Its saints rejected caste pride, spoke of brotherhood, and insisted that bhakti was above politics. But today, Kirtankars are becoming political weapons. Their abhangs are being remixed into electoral campaigns. Their pulpits are being turned into party stages. And now, their words are beginning to sound like Nathuram Godse's pistol. Here is my honest take. Sangram Bhandare's statement wasn't just reckless, it was dangerous because it asked us to imagine a future where devotion is no longer about Sant Tukaram's Pundalika Varde Hari Vitthal, but about Nathuram's bullets. It asked us to normalize a space where the language of bhakti is hijacked by the language of assassin. So I'll ask again, will Kirtankars turn Godse now? If the answer is yes, then Maharashtra loses more than just its saints. It loses its soul. Because once the temple starts echoing with threats of violence and once Godse is allowed to sit on the same stage as Sant Tukaram, it is not just the Warkari tradition that dies. It is democracy itself. And that, my friends, is the real threat Sangram Bhandare has unleashed. That's all for now on Honest Take with me, Tejas. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never stop asking tough questions.